A lot of people are asking, how the hell did we get here? I mean, not because of military defeat for sure, not because probably of an economic collapse, but because of something that seems almost unbelievable to everyone. So the President of the United States, the person occupying the most powerful office on earth, appearing to sign executive order without fully understanding it.
This will last for at least 50 years, and you'll never have a leak. It's very strong. You couldn't, if you had a knife, I don't want to give anybody ideas. If you had a knife, you can't even cut it. So strong, so powerful. It's like powerful rubber. It is beautiful. Sealed, anything like that.
Are the contractors who did the initial work with the reflecting pool, are they to blame for the current condition, or is it the vandals?
We had vandalism. No, vandals. You know, we have I think 290, 300-foot slit right through it, probably a box cutter or a knife of some kind. We had people lifting up the basic, some of the, it's not a lot of damage, but we'll probably have to let the water out and refix it.
National Guard.
And he doesn't know what is he really signing about. And if that accusation is true, even partially, then we are probably looking at something much bigger than a potentially controversy. So we're looking at a question of competence right here, a question of accountability, and perhaps the most importantly, a question of precedent, right? So because think about that. What an executive order actually is. This isn't something, a ceremonial document. No, this isn't a photo op. This isn't for sure a campaign speech. An executive order is basically can shape national policy. It's that important. And it can affect industries in total. It can influence the entire markets, probably the world markets. It can redirect billions of dollars. And it can alter the direction of the government itself. And yet, there we are watching a moment that has left millions of people asking something simple. Did the President of the United States, Donald Trump, actually know what the hell is he really signing about? So the concern isn't necessarily about whether you support him or oppose him. This goes beyond the party lines, trust me. Imagine for a moment that this was any president, right? Republican, Democrat, Independent. Wouldn't the reaction be exactly the same? Wouldn't Americans still want answers for this? Because presidency is not supposed to function in probably an autopilot stuff. So the commander-in-chief is expected to understand the policies being enacted under the authority. So this is the entire point of leadership, probably all around the world. So leadership means responsibility in general, and leadership means ownership. Leadership means knowing exactly what decisions are being made in your name. Yet the criticism surrounding this event centers on one uncomfortable idea totally, that the individual signing the document may have fully understood the subject matter behind it. Now, pay attention to this. If that perception takes hold, the consequences becomes enormous. So let me break this down in a nice way. History remembers precedents, right? They become standards. They become expectations. They become example that future leaders follow. It's that basic. That's why this situation matters a lot for the public. Because if the public begin accepting the idea precedent don't need to fully grasp the detail of what they are signing, what happens next? Where does the road lead, right? Does understanding become optional or not? I think so. It becomes optional. Now, does accountability disappears totally, or do advisors effectively become decision makers while elected leaders simply provide signatures, right? So those are not something small question people are asking. Those are foundational question about governance itself in the office. So the American system was built on assumption that elected officials are responsible for their actions, not their staff, not their advisors, not unnamed bureaucrats, the elected leader, the person whose name appears on the document. So the person holding the pen, that's what I'm talking about. The person making the final decision when the signature is just put on the paper. When the doubts emerge about whether that person understands what they're approving, confidence begins to erode totally. So think about that for a moment. What's really happening in the office? So trust is something fragile thing. Governments rely on it. Markets, they rely on it. Allies, they totally depend on that. Citizens, they rely on it and they trust that so blindly. So the moment people start asking questions whether major decisions are being made knowingly, uncertainty spreads super fast, and uncertainty has consequences, even on a positive side and a lot on a negative side. But leadership is not merely about authority. No, It's all about credibility. So when a president speaks, the world listens very carefully. When a president signs a document, industries react, the markets react, foreign governments, they react, they shape their next policy. Investors, they think where to invest, where not to invest, and military planners, they react, they plan again. The stakes could not be higher. That's why even the appearance of confusion becomes serious issue in this. So not because confusion is very unusual, no. Everyone gets confused and everyone makes mistakes. It's totally normal. But because the presidency is a role where the margin of that error is incredibly super narrow and super small. Think about that. Now, after all this, a president sitting behind the resolute desk, right? Television cameras rolling all the time, photographers capturing every single angle, a document placed in front of him, a signature added, right? Pens handed out to him, and applause all the time. And the event lasts only moments. But the effect of that signature on the paper, on the document, can last years and years, sometimes probably decades, sometimes generations. That's what makes this moment so striking. It's unbelievable. The contrast, the enormous weight of the office I'm talking about. So against the allegation that the person wielding the power may not fully understand the action being taken. And whether that criticism is fair or unfair, one thing is very undeniable. The perception itself is totally damaging right here. The confidence in leadership depends upon competence, and the competence requires totally one thing, understanding, right? So the deeper issue here isn't about quantum computing. No, it isn't technology. It isn't even a specific executive order themselves. So the deeper issue is much simpler, super simple. It's whether Americans believe their leaders know what they are doing or not. That's the heart of the debate right here. That's why people are talking about this particular thing. That's why the story keeps spreading online super fast, because underneath every political argument is a basic expectation. If you're running the most powerful office in the world, you should know what you're signing on those documents, not approximately, not something unguessingly, not generally. I'm telling precisely, completely, because we all rely on that confidently, because the presidency is not a guessing game right here. It's a very hard job, a very responsible job. It's not an internship. It's not a trial run. It is the highest executive responsibility on the entire planet. With that responsibility comes an obligation to understand every major decision that leaves your desk. So think about that for a moment, how the things are going right here and everything is just getting changed. History will ultimately decide how moments like these are remembered. So maybe the critics are overstating the issue, probably. Maybe supporters will argue the controversy is exaggerated totally. So that debate will continue for sure. But one question will remain here, absolutely, a question that cuts through all politics, a question every citizen should ask regardless of the party. If the person signing the order doesn't fully understand it, then who is really making the decisions on that? If nobody can answer that question clearly, then the issue isn't just about one executive order itself. It's all about the future of presidential accountability itself here. So this is all based on the things spreading online, because the power without understanding is super dangerous. Authority without knowledge is very risky. And a signature without comprehension, trust me, may be one of the most alarming precedents of all. Now, we created this breakdown based upon the things spreading online on this, so people can understand what's really going on. So thank you so much. If you like the breakdown, you can subscribe for more and hit the like button to support the video and support the channel. Thank you. See you in the next video.